Okay, so you want to take a few notes. And again, I cannot stress enough, if you really focus hard, you should have no problem with this at all. If you tune out for about 5 or 10 minutes, you're going to be totally lost, okay? So it's totally up to you whether you get this or not, okay? I want to make sure we understand, like this symbol right here, okay? And I know you learned it back in middle school. You might have forgot it, though, okay? And I know you know it. You learned it back then because my daughter was doing it just the other day, okay? That's called a radical symbol, which you might say that's a square root symbol. It's kind of the same thing, okay? Kind of the same thing. And what that means is, what number can you times by itself to get you the number in there? What? 5. This is the number 5, okay? Because 5 times 5 is 25. If I gave you this right here.
How many in a row? 3.
I don't know what to tell you. Okay, this would be 3. Because 3 times 3 is 9, okay? Now, what I want you to understand is this, okay? We're going to get into harder problems, such as this right here. If I give you this right here.
That's mine.
Okay.
Why would we do? What?
Maybe walk down there.
So,
I'm
I'm just not confused, but just confused by reusing it.
Confused by what?
By reusing it.
Well, it's like saying, why do we learn how to add? I mean, there's applications in any of this stuff. Okay? I mean, you're going to find as we get into more complicated problems, you're going to need to know this. Okay? I mean, just like why did we learn how to multiply and divide? Because everything isn't adding and subtracting. Okay? In and of itself, not a whole lot. I mean, like the alphabet, for example. You learning the alphabet, I mean, other than putting things in alphabetical order, it's kind of pointless other than it teaches you the letters and what they are so you can use them to write words and sentences and paragraphs. Okay? So, the way you look at this has got a little 3 right there, okay? These are called square roots. The square root of 25, the square root of 9, okay? That's called a cube root or a third root, okay? Square root means what do you times by itself twice? 5 times 5, 3 times 3, okay? A cube root is what do you times by itself 3 times to get 8, okay? Now, I'm not saying what do you times by 3 to get 8. That's not what I said. I said what do you times by itself 3 times? If you're not sure, let's just guess. It's 2. Because 2, now you might be thinking, well, 2, 2, and 2, that's 6. We're not adding. 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. This is the number 2. Okay? What if I gave you this one? This is called the third root or the cube root of 125. Now, we know that 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. It might be 3. Let's check 3. 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. That's not big enough. Maybe it's 4. 4 times 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 is 64. It's not big enough. Maybe it's 5. This one you should be able to do in your head. What's 5 times 5 times 5? 5 times 5 is 25. What's 25 times 5? What's 5 quarters? $1.25. So this is the number 5. A cube root means what do you times by itself 3 times to get that number? I can even have this. Let's do an easy one. This is called a fourth root. A fourth root means what do you times by itself 4 times to get that number? And this is 1. Why?
Because whatever you times by 1 is always 1.
Specifically what he said. You're right. Specifically he said was 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. That's the number 1. Okay? How about this one? The fourth root of, this one looks like a tough one. The fourth root of 10,000. You remember thinking, I can't do that. Yes, you can. Okay? I'm going to tell you right now, little numbers get big really fast when you times them together. Okay? Any guesses on this one? What do you times by itself? 4 times to get 10,000.
20.
It's 10. Why? Because 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. What's 10 times 10? 100 times 10. 1,000 times 10 is 10,000. That's the number 10. Okay? It's no different than this stuff. It might be difficult at first because it's new. But it's no different than this. If I give you this right here, you learned back in first grade, that's the number 3. Then you later on learned that this is also the number 3. And then you might have learned that this is the number 3. You know what? That's the number 3. It's different ways of saying the same thing. Okay? All right, so we have like square roots, cube roots, and fourth roots. Okay? And the fifth roots and sixth roots, but we're not going to go that far. Yes, sir?
So if that's in an equation, would we just like place the, say it's like 9 radical, would we just place the 3 in there?
they're going to simply ask you, what is this? You'll say 3. Okay? And again, in and of itself, I'm not going to get into the applications yet. Okay? I'm glad you're interested in it, but I don't want to confuse you with stuff you don't need to know yet. Eventually, you're going to see where this is going to come into play, where we're going to need it. Okay? Now, what you need to understand is this. Do me a favor. This may sound stupid, okay, but I need you guys' participation in this one, okay? Just at the top of your paper, and don't look at anybody's paper. You can't look at anybody's paper, okay? This is not a trick question. It really isn't, okay? I want you to write down on your paper, just somewhere, 10 divided by 2. Don't look at anybody's paper. 10 divided by 2, okay? Just write it down. 10 divided by 2. I'm not saying figure it out. I'm just saying write down 10 divided by 2, okay?
The sentence, 10 divided by 2.
What's that?
Like the word 10 divided by 2. Like.
Write down 10 divided by 2. That's all I'm asking you to do. It's not a trick question. Okay, now I'm curious. Did anybody write this?
Yup.
Did anybody write this? Nobody wrote that? How about this one? Anybody write this? You wrote that? Okay, how about this? Anybody writing words? Which of those say 10 divided by 2? They all do. Okay. I'm trying to think if there's any other way. You could have wrote this. 10/2. You could have done that too. Okay. There's multiple ways of writing the same thing. Okay. Now, what I want you to understand is this. And I'm going to try to explain it in a very simple way. And I'm going to tell you right now, every year I teach this, there's always a few students. I hesitate doing this, but I'm going to explain it my way. I'm going to explain it in another way that I have no idea who, honest to God, I have no idea who it's going to be in this class, but I have a feeling somebody is going to hear me say it a different way that students each year say, I like this way better to remember it. And I don't understand it at all. I really don't. As long as you get it, that's what I'm getting at, okay, is this. What I want you to understand is this. Notice that there's a 3 right here. That means a cube root. There's a 4 right here. That means a 4th root. You don't see a number here, but it's there. Well, if I really wanted to, I could put a number there. What number do you think?
2.
Why? Because it's what you times by itself twice to get 25. What do you times by itself twice? So I could put a 2 here. One more thing. This has an exponent, but I don't see it there. It's there. Anybody know what it is? If you don't see it, it's a 1. Okay? So I put 1s here. Anything to the first power. What's anything to the first power? Itself. If I asked you what, for example, 8 squared means 8 times 8. 8 to the first means 8. Just 8. Okay? Be careful. We learned this last week. What's anything to the 0 power? 1. Most people think it's what? 0, and it's not. Okay?
Why wouldn't it be? If it's like.
Do you remember last week when we talked about that? Anything to the 0? Tell you
I was
what.
probably sleeping.
Okay, watch my video. It's on my video, okay? All right, anything to the 0 is 1, okay? So what I want you to understand is this. You can rewrite this. Another way of rewriting this is 25 to the 1/2 power. Okay, 25 to the 1/2 power. This is the same as 9 to the 1/2 power. Now, this is 2. This is 2. But what's the exponent here that I don't see? 1. That's 8 to what power do you think? 1/3. Okay? This right here is 125 to the 1/3 power. Okay?
Whatever.
Here's the way I explain it, okay? If I gave you this, the 4th root of 7 to the 5th, I have absolutely no idea what that is, okay? Just watch these next 2 examples. Then I'm going to show you a real simple way of remembering it, okay? This is the same as 7 to the 5/4 power. If I gave you the 8th root of 11 to the 3rd, it'd be 11 to the 3, and it's 11 to the 3/8, not 11 and 3/8. It's 11 to the 3/8. It's a power there, okay? Now here's the way I explain it, okay? When I wrote this, listen real carefully, this is a real, not to brag, but I think it's a real simple explanation, okay? When I wrote this, what's the first thing I wrote? When I wrote this right here. It's not a trick question. Okay, I'm going to do one more. Watch, you got to watch while I do it. Watch while I do it. What's the first thing I wrote? Specifically what? It's not a trick question. I wrote what?
6.
I wrote a 6. Okay, that's the first thing I wrote. When I rewrite it,
It's the last one.
it's the last thing I wrote. whatever I write first, I write last. You know what the most popular wrong answer is? Not 12 to the 5/6. They'll say it's 12 to the 6/5. It's real simple to mix them up. She caught it. Whatever's first is last. So how can I rewrite the 7th root of x to the 4th?
4/7.
Don't just say 4/7. X to the 4/7. How do I know it's not 7/4? 7 was first,
So it's last.
so it's last. Let's work backwards. What if I gave you 9 to the 5/3? If I want to write that with a radical, this is called a radical symbol. Square root symbol, radical symbol, okay? What's the first thing I'd write?
3.
Why would 3 be the first thing I write?
It's last.
It's the last thing I wrote. So 3 or the cube root of 9 to the 5th. Whatever's first is last, whatever's last is first. How would I rewrite 11 to the 2/7 power?
7.
The 7th root of 11 squared.
2.
Now, in and of itself, big deal. They just want to make sure you know the rules so that when we need them later, you can use them, okay? So, let's actually start some of these questions. There's still some stuff we haven't learned in this chapter.
How many do we have?
Oh, I'll tell you what, I don't want to, there's a lot of questions, and that's good. When there's a lot of questions, that means they're quick. I don't know if I should do this or not. I told you guys I'm going to show you another way that you could do it, okay? If I said rewrite this, the 5th root of y to the 11th, what would that be? Y to the what power? 11/5. I'm going to say something, and I think most of you are going to go, huh? But some of you are going to go, oh, I see it. I don't see it, okay? Students say that if you take this, I say whatever's first is last, last is first. I get that. To me, that makes sense. I'm going to call on somebody right here because I think I know the answer. Does that make sense to you? First is last, last is first? You're the one that caught it, so I'm assuming you understood it pretty well. So that's the way I remember it. I don't care how you memorize it, but memorize it. Some students say if you take this thing and you tip it over.
Yeah.
Who said yeah?
Me.
Do you see it?
Yeah.
I still don't see it.
What?
If you understand it, good for you. I don't care. Do you see it?
There's a
Good.
line over the
Whatever
line.
you want to. Don't stop. This is like the same conversation I have with any volleyball players in here. Libero. I've had every year. You know what the libero? You know the girl that wears the white shirt.
Mhm.
Every year I have students try to tell me what it. Don't try to explain it to me. I won't get it.
I
I don't. They wear a different shirt. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I
Don't.
actually-
No, it ain't gonna. I don't care how good you explain it. I'm not gonna get it. I'm not smart enough to figure it out.
I want to hear it though.
Whoa!
No.
You calling everybody that doesn't get that dumb?
What's that?
You
Which-
said you weren't smart enough to understand that.
I'm saying whoever explains. I don't care if the best person in the world explains something. I'm too dumb to figure it out. I don't understand it. I better figure it out because my
It's so
daughter's.
easy.
No, it's not.
Just listen.
No, why is
listen.
there-
It doesn't matter. I'm not smart enough.
Is
They wear a white shirt. I get
It's
it.
the only person on the court who can go out of their zone.
What's a zone?
It's where they start.
I thought they always
They
had to play
have
back
to stay in
row.
the back row. They have to stay in the back row.
And what's the bet? No, I'm not going to do all
You
this.
can
Tell
go
me
in
later.
for anyone,
Tell me
out for
later.
anyone.
I still don't really. I don't get it. I don't understand what the
Just
point
what you
is.
want.
And it's not even necessarily the best player, right? I mean, you'd
No,
think
it's
that.
it's a good passer. That's
A good
basically it.
passer. Okay. We'll talk more later. But Cassie Cosman, who I know really, I'm not saying you're not, but I know she's explaining to me, and I just don't get it. So anyhow, so if you understand the tipping thing over, good for you. I don't get it. I don't see it. So however you remember it, I don't care. All right. All right. Is there anybody out there going, what the heck's he talking about tipping it over? Just me? Okay, I'm the only dumb one. Thank you. You're with me. All right, you're with me.
He's just doing that because he wants to.
What's that?
It's usually the smallest person too.
Yeah.
Well, that's true,
Okay.
though.
Number 3. Let's actually start these.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
6-2,
good.
number 3. Okay, they want you to rewrite this one, radical 10. They want you to rewrite this one without a radical. Now, what little number's sitting out here that you don't see? It's a square root, so it's, what number did we say was out here?
2.
It's a 2. And I don't see an exponent here, it's a what? It's a 1. So this is going to be 10 to the what power? The 2 over 1 or the 1 over 2?
1 over 2.
How come 1 over 2?
Versus.
2 is first,
The
2
one
is last.
inside the box. Then.
Right. And it's not, I want to make sure you understand, it's not 10 and a half, it's 10 to the half. And there's a difference. I want to make sure you understand this, okay? If I give you this right here, just watch. A lot of students will look at that and they'll go, oh, that's 50. I'm not saying half of 100. I mean, a half of 100 is 50. Okay, this is not 50 though. Do this. Rewrite this with radicals. The what root of what? What do I write first? Not 100.
Oh, no, 2.
2's last, so 2,
Root.
radical 100 to the,
1.
what's the square root of 100?
1,000.
No, what do you,
Square root of 100, doesn't it like,
square root of 100. What do you times by itself to get 100? 10. To the first. What's 10 to the first?
100.
No. What's any number to the first? Melanie said it earlier. What's any number to the first
One.
one?
To itself.
Itself. So this is what again? 10 to the first, which is 10. So is it 50? No, it's 10. Okay? If I gave you 16 to the half power, a lot of students say, oh, it's 8. You cut it, it's half of 16. No, it's not half of 16. This is the square root of 16 to the first. What's the square root of 16? It's not 8.
4.
4. Why?
4 times 4.
Is?
16.
So 4 to the first, which is 4. Okay? So it's not, somebody say, oh, this is 5. No, it's not. It's not half of 10, it's 10 to the half. Okay, number 5. Okay. Let's rewrite this one. 15 to the 1/3 power. Okay, now I want you to write it with a radical symbol. The what root of what?
3.
Third root of 15 to the what?
1.
And you don't really need that 1 there. I'm not even gonna put it, I don't know if the computer
Wait,
would
so
take
if
it.
there's just a 1, you can just.
You don't need it. You don't need to
Well,
have
with
it.
the computer, do you have-
I don't know if the computer would take, I wouldn't put it on there. Okay, if you do that on a written test, I'm not gonna mark you wrong. Okay. Okay, now, when you get to number 7, this is where it gets a little bit trickier, okay? They want the nth root of A. Write this down. The nth root of A. Jot that down, the nth root of A. Okay, let's see. And they said n is 2. Okay, so what the heck are they saying here? The nth root of A, and then they tell you n is 2, A is 36. So they're saying find the second root or roots of 36. Second root means what do you times by itself twice? If it was a third root, it'd be what do you times by itself 3 times. If it was a 10th root, what do you times by itself 10 times. So what do you times by itself twice to get 36? What could I times by itself twice to get 36?
6 times 6.
Careful, we're not adding.
6 times 6.
18 plus 18 is 36, but we're timesing. 18 times 18 is way big. What?
6 times 6.
So 6. Now here's the deal. We have not talked about this yet. If you were looking at your computer, it would say 6. It would have 2 boxes there. Mauer's right when he says 6 times 6 is 36. He's right. What do I put in the other box though?
1.
No? I'll give you a clue. So we have one box is 6. The other box though,
6.
no, that's the same number. I'll give you a clue. Positive 6 times positive 6 is positive 36. What else gives you positive 36? Negative 6 times negative 6. So
Negative
it's
6.
6 and negative 6. So when I said the square root of 100 is 10, that's only half right. Why is the square root of 100 10? How come the square root of 100 is 10? Because 10 times 10 is 100. What's the other square root though?
Negative 10.
Because negative 10 times negative 10 is also 100. Negative times negative is a positive. Next one. Okay, number 9. Same thing. Same instructions. This time n is 3. We've already done this one. N is 3. Oh no, it's just 1,000 though, okay? So what they want is the third roots
Of 1,000.
of 1,000. What do you times by itself 3 times to give you 1,000?
10.
10 times 10 times 10. What's 10 times 10? 100 times 10 is 1,000. Now, is it also negative 10?
No.
What's negative 10 times negative 10 times negative 10? What are 3 negatives times together? A negative. And we want
So
a positive. So it's just 10. Just 10, not negative 10, just 10. Because 10 times 10 times 10.
I actually did not know that.
What's that?
3 negatives make it still negative.
When you multiply.
I just didn't.
Now, is it because they're all negative?
Yes.
What if you multiply 10 negatives? Do you get a negative? What's the rule? Odd and even. If you have an odd number of negatives, you get a negative. Even number of negatives, you get a positive. Good. Number 11. Okay. They give you a picture of a box. Here's an application. Hunter Sowers was asking earlier, how can we ever use this? This is a cube. I want to make sure you understand what a cube is, okay? A cube is kind of like a box, but it's a special kind of a box, okay? Would you say that this room is generally shaped as a cube? It's definitely a big box that we're in. Is it a cube?
Yeah.
No.
Wow.
Reason is, if this right here, that's really wrong. This right here is a box, but it's not a cube.
It's a rectangle.
Right. On a cube, all the sides are what shape?
Same.
They're squares. They're all squares. Why is this room not a cube? Is that wall the same size as this floor? No, the floor and the ceiling are the same, but the walls are not, they're not all the same. It's like a big box, okay, but it's not a cube. Okay? They're telling you that the volume, it's x by x by x, okay? We're timesing something by itself 3 times, and they're telling you that the volume is 64. What would the dimensions have to be then? What times itself times itself, huh?
64.
64 times 64 times 64, that's way bigger than 64.
Oh, wait, no.
4, why?
4 times 4 is 8.
Is what? 4 times 4 is 16. Now, did you know that, or were you punching stuff in? And that's fine. That's what you should do. If you're like, how do we get these? Use a calculator. I want to be able to clue on, okay? Lonnie, you're on the spot right here, okay? You didn't know what it was. You were punching in numbers. That's what you're supposed to do, okay? I know the answer is not 3. Let's do some number theory right here, okay? 3 times 3 times 3. You know what happens when you multiply a bunch of odd numbers together? Well, check. What's an odd times an odd? What's 3 times 5? An odd times an odd gave you an odd. When you multiply a bunch of odds, you get an odd. What happens when you multiply a bunch of evens? You get an even. So, could this have possibly been 3?
No.
Because 3 times 3 times 3 is going to be...
Oh, yeah.
It could have been maybe 6?
You're wrong.
Maybe
because
7?
If you like added like, are you talking about multiply or adding?
Multiplying. Okay. Am I right?
Yeah.
I like being
thought
right
you
once in a
meant
while.
Adding.
Oh, no. I like being right sometimes. But what I'm getting at is this. There's no way this could have been 7. You may not know what 7 times 7 times 7 is, but it's going to be what kind of a number? It's going to be an odd number. We need an even. It's got to be 2, 4, 6, 8, something, okay? So that'll help you out a little bit. I mean, you can always just punch in numbers, okay? So number 13. Okay,
Wait, what?
13.
That's 11.
We just did 11. Said the answer was 4. Because 4 times 4 times 4. Okay. Now, listen carefully, because this is where it gets probably the last really confusing thing here, okay? Watch carefully. If I give you this right here, we said the square roots of 100. Again, listen really, really carefully. What did we say the square roots of 100 were? What do you times by itself to get 100? 10. And we also said negative 10. 10 and negative 10. Because 10 times 10 is 100, and negative 10 times negative 10 is 100. Now, if I gave you this, though, I said at the beginning of class, you might not have caught it, I only said it like once. That's actually called a radical symbol. Students say it's a square root symbol. It's kind of a square root symbol. They're very, very close to being the same. They're not exactly, okay? So, what would the answer to that be? Radical 100. And negative 10? Well, 10 times 10 is 100, and negative 10 times negative 10 is 100. So is the answer 10 and negative 10? The answer is no. The radical symbol means the positive square root. The positive square root, okay? So let me ask you this. What are the square roots of 9? What do you times by 3? And? Negative 3. But if I just ask you radical 9, it's what? Only 3. The radical means the positive square root, okay? All right, so let's look at number 13. Okay, now think about what I was just explaining to Melania, and if you get the answer, Melania, don't shout it out yet, okay? The fourth root of 256 What do you times by itself 4 times to get 256? Should we check 3? Is 3 an option?
Yes.
What kind of a number is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3? What do you get when you times odds?
16.
So could it possibly be 3? We want to end up with an even number. Could it maybe be 4? Maybe? Could it maybe be 5?
Yeah.
No. Why? 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 is going to be what kind of a number? So what number should we check? One word. What kind of number should we check?
Odds.
Even.
No,
Evens. Whatever he says, say the opposite. It's got to be even numbers. So let's try 2 first. You know why I'm picking 2 first? Why didn't I pick 48 first? What's 48 times? It's way too big. I don't know what that is. Let's try 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4.
4
Times 2 is 8. Times 2 is 16. Is that what we want? No. Should we check 3? Check evens. Let's try 4. Did you already check it, Melania? What's that? Is it 4?
Yeah, it is.
Because 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. I might be going, I can't do that in my head. Use a calculator. 64. 64 times 4 is 256. 15. Okay, cube root of negative 343. Okay, so this one. Okay. What do you times by itself 3 times to get, should we check 2, 4, or I mean, what number should we check? Odds. Okay, let's try, just ignore the negative right now. 3 times 3 times 3. Well, let's do this one. Let's do 5. What is 5 times 5 times 5? 5 times 5 is 25. Times 5 is 125. That's not big enough. Should we check 6? Or not? No. 7. 7 times 7 times 7. 7 times 7 is 49. 49 times 7 is 343. Now be careful. Do I want 343? I don't want 343. I want negative. So the answer's not 7. It's what?
Negative 7.
Negative 7. Because negative 7, oh, that looks terrible. Negative 7 times negative 7 times negative 7. Maurer, you're up. She told you a few minutes ago. True or false? Negative 7 times negative 7 times negative 7 is negative because every number's negative. No. Why?
Because, I just remembered.
Why is it negative?
What?
How come negative 7 times negative 7 times negative 7 is negative? Why isn't it positive?
Because
I'm giving you a clue right
it's
here.
not even.
Yeah, we have an odd number of negatives. If I multiply, you listen to Maurer?
Yeah.
If I multiply 12 negatives, what do you get?
Well, negatives.
What kind of an answer? Huh?
Positive.
Why?
It's not,
12's even. Okay, what if I multiply 317 negatives?
no,
We get positive or negative?
negative.
Because it's an odd number of negatives. Okay, good. All right, let's try just a couple more and then we'll probably stop. 17. Let's do 3 more. 2 of them are really quick. 17. Okay, they ask us for 128 to the 1/7 power. Okay, if you're not sure what it is, rewrite it. Write it with radicals. How can I rewrite 128 to the 1/7 power? What's the first thing I'm going to write? 7th root of 128 to the what? To the 1. And you don't even need that 1 there, okay? What's the 7th root of 128? What kind of number should we check? Evens or odds? Careful, it's 128. Evens,
Even.
okay?
I was looking at the 7.
I know, you're looking right, I'm going to make sure you're looking at the right number, okay? And you're not the first person that has done that, okay? So let's look at it. So what do you want to try first? We said evens. What should we try first?
2.
Why?
Because it's like the lowest.
It's the lowest. Small numbers are easy. What's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2? What's 2 times 2? 4. Keep doubling it. Double 4. 8, 16, 32, 64.
128.
So is that what we want?
Yes.
The answer is 2. Because 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 128. I don't expect you to know those. That's why you can use calculators. Okay? Okay, some of you can. Okay? Okay, let's rewrite this one. The 5th root of 8.
And then power 4.
So rewrite that without radicals. 8 to the what power? 5/4 or 4/5?
4/5.
How come 4/5? tip it over, flip it, whatever. The way I explain it is, 5 was first, so 5 is last. If you want to tip it over, whatever the heck that means, it means the same thing as a libero, whatever the heck that is. 21. 2 more. Okay, -4 to the 2/7. -4 to the 2/7 power. How can I rewrite that one? The what root of what?
Negative. Oh wait, no, it's 7 negative.
7th root of -4
2
squared. Okay, and that's it for today. Okay.